Introduction to Surveillance Capitalism. Surveillance capitalism refers to a new economic order built on the commodification of personal data with the core purpose of profit making. Coined and popularized by the scholar Shoshana Zuboff, the term describes a system in which human experience is captured as behavioral data and used to predict, influence, and monetize user behavior. Unlike earlier forms of capitalism, which relied primarily on labor or physical goods, surveillance capitalism thrives on the extraction of personal information, often without informed consent. Technology companies such as Google, Meta, formerly Facebook, and Amazon have pioneered this model, using data not just to understand users, but to shape their future actions. From data collection to behavioral prediction, at the heart of surveillance capitalism is the continuous collection of data. Technology companies gather extensive information from users' interactions, search history, geographic location, social media activity, and even behavior in smart homes. These data are then fed into machine learning algorithms that generate predictive models to anticipate user needs and desires. For example, Google Maps does not simply provide directions. It learns from users' daily routines, commuting patterns, and locations to suggest when to leave home, what route to take, or even where to stop for coffee. Similarly, Amazon tracks more than purchases. It monitors what products users view, how long they linger, what they place in digital shopping carts, and what they review. These insights are used to create behavioral profiles that can be sold to advertisers or used to drive further engagement. The shift from advertising to behavior modification. Initially, surveillance capitalism was justified as a means to deliver more relevant advertising. However, the model has evolved to shape behavior in real time. Social media platforms, streaming services, and e-commerce sites do more than respond to user preferences. They actively influence them. Consider the case of TikTok, the short video platform whose algorithm quickly adapts to user interactions. By analyzing which videos are liked, rewatched, or skipped, TikTok learns how to surface content that will keep users engaged longer. Over time, this shifts user interests in subtle but powerful ways. Similarly, Facebook conducted a controversial internal experiment in which it altered users' news feeds to observe whether positive or negative content could influence emotional states. Users were not informed they were part of a psychological experiment, revealing the extent to which platforms can manipulate mood and behavior without consent. Economic power and asymmetry. Surveillance capitalism concentrates enormous economic and informational power in the hands of a few dominant technology firms. Alphabet, the parent company of Google, and Meta control vast portions of the global digital advertising market, giving them the ability to set norms and influence both consumer behavior and broader economic structures. A vivid example of this power imbalance is the Cambridge Analytica scandal. This political consultancy firm harvested data from millions of Facebook users, often without their explicit consent, to construct psychographic profiles. These profiles were then used to target personalized political advertisements during the 2016 presidential election in the United States and the referendum on the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the European Union. What was initially developed for commercial targeting had been transformed into a tool for political manipulation. Resistance and regulation. As public concern about surveillance capitalism has grown, various efforts have been made to push back against its excesses. One prominent example is the General Data Protection Regulation passed by the European Union. This regulatory framework requires that companies be transparent about how they collect and use data, allows users to request that their data be deleted, and imposes fines for violations. However, enforcement remains inconsistent. Google has been fined multiple times by European authorities for breaching data protection rules, including for requiring Android users to share location data by default. Yet the underlying business model of data extraction persists. At the individual level, some users are resisting by installing tracking blockers, using alternative search engines like DuckDuckGo, or turning to encrypted messaging apps such as Signal. But meaningful resistance is challenging when core services, such as email, search, and navigation, are controlled by firms that rely on data exploitation. Surveillance capitalism beyond the consumer sphere. Surveillance capitalism has extended far beyond digital marketing. In the workplace, companies increasingly use monitoring tools to track employee productivity. Amazon, for instance, uses sensors, scanners, and algorithms to monitor warehouse workers in real time, assessing their efficiency and issuing warnings for slow performance. In office settings, platforms like Microsoft Viva collect data on time spent in meetings, response rates to emails, and employee burnout risk. In education, digital learning systems collect data on students' reading habits, time spent on assignments, participation in online discussions, and test performance. These systems claim to personalize learning, but they also raise concerns about surveillance, profiling, and long-term data storage. Governments, too, have adopted elements of surveillance capitalism. Urban surveillance programs in cities such as Toronto and San Diego use technologies including facial recognition cameras, license plate readers, and mobile device tracking. The now abandoned Sidewalk Toronto project, a joint initiative by Alphabet and the city, faced criticism for its plans to collect extensive data on urban dwellers without clear governance or consent mechanisms. Conclusion: surveillance capitalism is more than a business model. It is a new form of power built on the extraction, prediction, and shaping of human behavior. Through examples like targeted advertising on TikTok, political manipulation via Facebook, and algorithmic monitoring in Amazon warehouses, we see how deeply this logic has permeated modern life. While resistance is growing and some regulatory safeguards exist, the systems of surveillance capitalism remain deeply embedded in the infrastructure of the digital economy. Addressing its ethical, social, and political implications will require not only new laws, but also a cultural shift toward reclaiming autonomy and redefining the boundaries of acceptable technological practice. Stay tuned for more insights into business and the social sciences. If you found this overview helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on future topics you'd like us to cover. I'm Dr. Dog, wishing you a fantastic day ahead.